gather round, folks. Let's talk about something that makes even the most seasoned leaders break out in a cold sweat: feedback. Yep, that's right, we're diving deep into the art of handling disagreement like a boss. Now, let's be real for a second. Feedback isn't always rainbows and sunshine. Sometimes it stings a little. Okay, a lot. But here's the thing, it's an essential ingredient in the recipe for growth, both for you as a leader and for your team. So, buckle up, because we're about to embark on a journey through the highs and lows of navigating disagreement. First things first, let's address the elephant in the room: handling criticism. It's like being served a dish you didn't order at a fancy restaurant: awkward, uncomfortable, and downright unpleasant at times. But here's a secret: it doesn't have to ruin your appetite. Instead of viewing criticism as a personal attack, try seeing it as an opportunity for improvement. Embrace it, learn from it, and use it to fuel your growth. Now, let's talk about the flip side of the coin: giving feedback. As a leader, it's your responsibility to dish it out like a pro. But here's the catch: delivering feedback isn't just about pointing out flaws, it's about fostering growth and development. So, before you unleash your inner critique monster, take a moment to consider your approach. Be constructive, be empathetic, and above all, be human. But what happens when you find yourself knee-deep in a sea of disagreement? Fear not, my friend, for I have a few tricks up my sleeve to help you navigate those choppy waters. First off, listen up, and I mean really listen. Hear out the other person's perspective, even if it feels like a punch to the ego. Remember, you're not always right, and that's okay. Next up, choose your battles wisely. Not every disagreement requires a full-blown showdown. Sometimes, it's better to agree to disagree and move on. Save your energy for the battles worth fighting, you'll thank me later. Now, let's talk about something that's often overlooked in the world of feedback: timing. Timing is everything, my friends. Catch someone off guard with criticism, and you're setting yourself up for a one-way ticket to Awkwardville. Instead, choose a time when both parties are calm, collected, and ready to engage in a productive conversation. But what about when emotions run high? When tempers flare, and words are exchanged like fiery arrows? Take a deep breath and remember this golden rule: keep it professional. Sure, it's tempting to let your emotions run wild, but trust me, it's a slippery slope. Stay calm, stay composed, and above all, stay focused on finding a resolution. Now, let's talk about the aftermath of disagreement, aka damage control. So, things got a little heated, and now you're left with a mess to clean up. What do you do? First off, take responsibility. Own up to your mistakes, apologize if necessary, and move forward with grace and humility. Next, learn from the experience. Every disagreement is an opportunity for growth, so don't let it go to waste. Reflect on what went wrong, what could have been done differently, and how you can prevent similar situations in the future. And finally, don't let disagreement dampen your spirits. Remember, you're only human, and humans aren't perfect. Embrace the bumps in the road, learn from them, and keep on trucking. So, there you have it, a crash course in handling feedback like a pro. Is it easy? Heck no. Is it worth it? Absolutely. So, the next time you find yourself knee-deep in disagreement, remember these words of wisdom: take a deep breath, and dive right in. You've got this, leader. Now go forth and conquer. Alright, let's delve even deeper into the intricacies of navigating disagreement. We've covered the basics, but now it's time to explore some advanced strategies for handling feedback like a true leader. One of the most powerful tools in your arsenal. Empathy. Yep, you heard me right. Empathy isn't just for therapists and poets, it's a game changer in the world of leadership. Put yourself in the other person's shoes, see the situation from their perspective, and watch as tensions melt away like ice cream on a hot summer day. But here's the thing about empathy: it's not always easy to summon at a moment's notice. Sometimes, you've got to dig deep, tap into your emotional reserves, and channel your inner empathetic superhero. And trust me, it's worth the effort. Not only does empathy strengthen relationships and foster trust, but it also paves the way for open, honest communication. Now, let's talk about something that's often overlooked in the realm of feedback: specificity. Ever received a vague, ambiguous piece of feedback that left you scratching your head? Yeah, not fun. As a leader, it's your job to avoid falling into this trap. Instead of beating around the bush, be specific, be direct, and be clear about what needs to change. But here's the kicker: specificity works both ways. When giving feedback, don't just point out what went wrong, offer concrete suggestions for improvement. Whether it's providing additional training, reallocating resources, or simply offering a fresh perspective, your input can make all the difference. But what about when feedback falls on deaf ears? When despite your best efforts, the other person just isn't getting the message? It's time to bring out the big guns, aka, the art of persuasion. Now, I'm not talking about strong-arming or manipulation here, I'm talking about genuine, heartfelt persuasion. Start by finding common ground, something you both can agree on. From there, build a bridge to your point of view, using logic, reason, and maybe even a sprinkle of charm. But here's the key: know when to back off. Pushing too hard can backfire, turning a disagreement into a full-blown standoff. So, tread lightly, choose your words wisely, and above all, stay true to your principles. Now, let's talk about the importance of fostering a culture of feedback within your team. Yep, you heard me right, feedback isn't just a one-way street. It's a two-way conversation, a dynamic exchange of ideas, and a cornerstone of high-performing teams. But here's the thing about feedback culture: it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, effort, and a whole lot of patience to cultivate. Start by leading by example, be open to feedback, encourage others to speak up, and create a safe space for honest dialogue. From there, watch as your team blossoms into a well-oiled feedback machine. And finally, let's talk about the power of gratitude. Yep, you heard me right, gratitude. When was the last time you thanked someone for their feedback? Not only does gratitude strengthen relationships and boost morale, but it also encourages future feedback. So, the next time someone offers up a nugget of wisdom, don't forget to say those two magic words: thank you. So, there you have it, a deep dive into the art of handling feedback like a true leader. Is it easy? Heck no. Is it worth it? Absolutely. So, the next time you find yourself knee-deep in disagreement, remember these words of wisdom, tap into your inner empathy, and watch as magic unfolds before your eyes. You've got this, leader. Now go forth and conquer. Alright, let's keep the momentum going. We've covered some serious ground on the topic of navigating disagreement, but there's always more to explore. So, buckle up, because we're diving even deeper into the rabbit hole of feedback. Let's talk about resilience, the unsung hero of handling disagreement. As a leader, you're bound to face your fair share of criticism, setbacks, and downright failures. But here's the thing: it's not about how many times you fall, it's about how many times you get back up. So, dust yourself off, learn from your mistakes, and keep on trucking. But resilience isn't just about bouncing back, it's also about bouncing forward. Yep, you heard me right. Instead of dwelling on past failures, use them as stepping stones to future success. Channel your inner phoenix, rising from the ashes stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever before. Now, let's talk about something near and dear to my heart: the power of perspective. Ever heard the phrase, "there are two sides to every story"? Well, it's true, and then some. As a leader, it's your job to see beyond the surface, to peel back the layers of disagreement and uncover the hidden truths beneath. But here's the kicker: perspective isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. It's dynamic, ever-changing, and deeply personal. What may seem like a mountain to one person might be a molehill to another. So, take the time to understand where each person is coming from, and watch as empathy bridges the gap between disagreement and understanding. But what about when disagreement turns into full-blown conflict? When tempers flare, egos clash, and all hell breaks loose. It's time to break out the big guns, conflict resolution skills. Now, I'm not talking about playing referee or laying down the law, I'm talking about facilitating open, honest dialogue and finding common ground. Start by setting ground rules, things like no interrupting, no personal attacks, and above all, no throwing office supplies. From there, create a safe space for each person to voice their concerns, listen actively, and work together to find a solution. And remember, sometimes the best resolution is agreeing to disagree, and that's okay. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, ego. Yep, we've all got one, and sometimes it rears its ugly head at the worst possible moment. But here's the thing about ego, it's not your friend. In fact, it's more like that annoying cousin you only see at family reunions. So, how do you keep your ego in check when faced with disagreement? Start by practicing humility, admit when you're wrong, apologize when necessary, and above all, listen with an open mind. And remember, it's not about being right, it's about finding the best possible solution for everyone involved. And finally, let's talk about the importance of self-care. Yep, you heard me right, self-care. Handling disagreement can be mentally and emotionally draining, so it's important to recharge your batteries regularly. Whether it's hitting the gym, indulging in your favorite hobby, or simply taking a walk in nature, find what works for you and make it a priority. So, there you have it, a deep dive into the art of handling disagreement like a true leader. Is it easy? Heck no. Is it worth it? Absolutely. So, the next time you find yourself knee-deep in disagreement, remember these words of wisdom, channel your inner resilience, and watch as magic unfolds before your eyes. You've got this, leader. Now go forth and conquer. Alright, let's keep the ball rolling. We've touched on some crucial aspects of handling disagreement, but there's always more to explore. So, let's dive even deeper into the labyrinth of feedback and disagreement, shall we? Let's start by talking about trust, the bedrock of any healthy relationship, be it personal or professional. As a leader, trust is your most valuable currency. It's what binds your team together, fuels collaboration, and paves the way for open, honest communication. But here's the thing about trust, it's fragile. Like a delicate vase perched on the edge of a table, it can shatter into a million pieces with a single misstep. So, handle it with care. Be transparent, be reliable, and above all, be true to your word. And when trust is breached, as it inevitably will be from time to time, take swift action to mend the cracks and rebuild what's been broken. Next up, let's talk about the art of active listening. Ever had a conversation with someone who's more interested in hearing themselves talk than actually listening to what you have to say? Yeah, not fun. As a leader, it's your job to be the exception to the rule. Practice active listening, really tune into what the other person is saying, ask clarifying questions, and above all, resist the urge to interrupt. You'll be amazed at how much more productive your conversations become when you give others the space to be heard. Now, let's talk about something that's often overlooked in the world of feedback, vulnerability. Yep, you heard me right, vulnerability. As a leader, it's easy to fall into the trap of putting on a brave face, projecting an air of invincibility to those around you. But here's the thing, vulnerability is not weakness, it's strength in disguise. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you create space for genuine connection and empathy to flourish. So, don't be afraid to let your guard down from time to time. Share your struggles, admit your mistakes, and watch as the walls between you and your team come tumbling down. But what about when disagreement rears its head within your own ranks? When you find yourself at odds with a colleague or team member? It's time to break out the toolkit of conflict resolution strategies. Start by reframing the conversation. Instead of viewing it as a battle to be won, approach it as an opportunity for collaboration and mutual understanding. From there, focus on finding common ground, exploring alternative solutions, and above all, maintaining respect and civility throughout the process. And finally, let's talk about the importance of follow-up. Yep, you heard me right, follow-up. Handling disagreement isn't just about resolving the immediate issue at hand, it's also about laying the groundwork for future success. So, once the dust has settled and agreements have been reached, take the time to check in regularly. Make sure everyone is on the same page, address any lingering concerns, and celebrate progress along the way. So, there you have it, a deep dive into the art of handling disagreement like a true leader. Is it easy? Heck no. Is it worth it? Absolutely. So, the next time you find yourself knee-deep in disagreement, remember these words of wisdom, lean into trust and vulnerability, and watch as magic unfolds before your eyes. You've got this, leader. Now go forth and conquer.